Okay, and here we are on the farms once again. We're not going to go too far. There's only, what is it? Five. 5 pages, and we're not going to go through everything on those 5 pages. There's some stuff. But first we have a video. This video. Now, Ethan brought this up on a stream, I believe, and played part of the video. So anyway, and it's a short video, so anyway. Captain Cummings was the one who brought ComicsGate to my attention back in the day. But at this point, I had forgotten I was even subscribed to his channel. His third, fourth, more, feels like a relic from a different age, to be honest. Anywho, I guess he and Zack are no longer pinky swear buddies, and it took him 5 minutes to convey this. So, here we have the video. Just just in case it wasn't still up. Went ahead and downloaded it. All right. I think I've got this at normal playback speed. It's only it's almost 6 minutes long, but still. For it to be that short, it's like we can go ahead and do it in 1-to-1 instead of trying to speed it up.
Hello everybody, this is Captain Cummings. Today I want to talk about Comics Matter, Ya Boi Zack. Richard C. Meyer. This is his YouTube channel.
I don't know, like, Captain Cummings is, like, before my time, paying any attention to CG. So I don't know this guy. If anybody wants to, give me some sort of short summary or whatever about what he's like, or anything, important that I should know about him, let me know. His voice sounds familiar, though. I don't know. Maybe it's just similar to somebody else I've heard on YouTube. I don't know. Weird.
And he is a comic book pro?
That right there, more than anything, like, makes him sound like a soy-laden SJW. The way the voice rises like that. The question at the the question mark implied there or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Not not. I don't know. It's not a huge criticism or nothing, but sounding, I don't know, extra. I don't know. I have no idea whether he's at all woke or not woke at all. I don't know. But it's like you talk that way, and it's like you sound like you're a woke piece of shit.
That's more of a question than
No shit. It's very implied that it's a question.
Statement. You see, he does Indiegogo.
And I wouldn't call him a pro, by the way. I would not refer to Zack as a pro, not really. I mean, yeah, he's got several under his belt by now, but it's like I still wouldn't. I don't know. To me, like, I don't know. I guess I don't really think. I mean, not to suggest, by the way, that there's any sort of illegitimacy to people that are in CG or in the indie comics in general, but to me, when you talk about comic pros, I think of people like Ethan who have worked for the big two or whatever. It's like people who've been in in the major comic book scene or whatever as professional artists or writers or whatever. It's like whoever. It's like Ethan, Chuck Dixon, whoever. It's like like those sorts of people. It's like I think of those as the pros, and people like Zack, no matter what level of success he's achieved or whatever, it's like I'm never going to think of him as a pro. Like, personally, I'm just not. Because that's just not how I look at the situation. But I don't know. It's like maybe, maybe other people consider that, if you if you're successful in CG or indie comics in general, or whatever, even if you've never worked in like the mainstream industry, then they would still consider that that person is like, oh, he's a comics pro. It's like, but I wouldn't. But anyway,
comic book campaigns. This one's for a Hollywood IP, The Expendables. Now, I would say this makes Sylvester Stallone and the IP look bad because it's over a year late. The only problem is it sold so poorly.
4,355 backers, raising, pretty close to $300,000. What would you consider not poorly? I mean, that's pretty motherfucking good for an indie comic of any kind. I mean, you say it's a Hollywood property, and it's like, well, yeah, but apparently, like, the reason why there's even being a comic of it is because there's not going to be any more movies because the rights for the movies are somehow tied up or whatever, and so none of them are. There's never going to be another Expendables movie. Like, there, somehow or other, I don't know the story on that, but I've as I understand it, it's like, yeah, the rights are all tied up or whatever, and Stallone, he might want to make another movie, but he's not going to be able to. So he decided, sure, why the hell not? Let's do a comic book or whatever. But despite that, as far as I know, Stallone himself barely associated with this. I mean, yeah, sure, the story is by him or whatever, but like, did he like tweeted it like one time or something? Like, he really has not put in any kind of real effort, it would seem, to try and promote the damn thing. He just, as to the best of my knowledge, he never really tried very hard to promote his own book. So I could, even though it's like he apparently came up with the story or whatever, at least in conjunction with Chuck Dixon, I wouldn't, I wouldn't say that he's overly involved in this. Doesn't seem to have been.
It only made $283,000.
Only. What were you hoping it would do? 283 million? I mean, it's a fucking comic book that, as far as I know, was not getting much promotion outside of CG. So, what the fuck do you expect?
$1,000? You would think that something with Sylvester Stallone and the Expendables would...
If Sylvester Stallone was fucking promoting the shit out of it, yes. But as far as I can tell, he didn't.
Would make over $1 million. I mean, this is quite pathetic.
So it has to make $1 million for Captain Cummings to believe that it's a success. So I assume that means that he thinks that Ethan's a raging success, since Ethan has made considerably more than that on his Cyberfrog properties, right? So,
Pathetic, if I'm just
combined, at least,
being honest. And his other one is the Jawbreakers. So you see this roughly around the same, 4,000 sellers.
His voice. What was that movie? Fuck. What is that movie from? I cannot remember. Is it the one? It's the one where the yeah. Ironically enough, it's the one where the guy can't remember, right? Is that it? I think. Yeah. Memento. Is that it? Is that the name of that movie? Where the story is like told backwards because the dude doesn't remember shit. He's got amnesia or whatever. And in that movie, they talk about how this other dude, had memory issues or whatever, and his wife didn't believe him, and his wife was diabetic, and so she's like, "It's time for my insulin shot." And then to test him, because she was just sure he was faking it, she was like, "It's time for my insulin shot. It's time for my insulin shot." And he kept giving it to her until she died. And of course, he couldn't remember, so he was freaking out and didn't. Anyway, the actor that played that guy, he's one of those actors that plays a lot of, he's tall, slightly overweight, bald, or at least heavily balding, whatever. Um, glasses. He's one of those actors that, like, he's in a whole bunch of movies, but he's always like a supporting character, so you often don't really remember the names of actors like that, even though they're in tons of shit. That guy's voice, I think, is what Captain Cummings here is reminding me of.
This one has around the same 4,000. So he has a dedicated fan base of around 4,000 people.
That's pretty motherfucking good for CG, honestly. It's like, come on, man.
Nothing to, like, turn your nose up at.
No. Lots of people would love to have that many backers. Shit.
Here's the problem. They're both over a year late.
Yes, and that is one of the major difficulties. It's like possibly the only, like, truly good point that he raises in this fucking video is CG is really kind of racking up and has been for quite some time. It's just there's so many campaigns that are at best behind the schedule, and I don't know. It seems like sometimes some people get criticized for it while others get a pass. Like, especially if it's a bigger name in CG, whether that means it's a former industry pro or somebody like Ya Boi Zack or whoever. It does seem like they kind of get a pass from a lot of people on any criticism of them just not, having their shit together or whatever, whereas smaller creators are more likely to be shit on for, having dicked around for a year and not gotten their book finished. So anyway.
It was originally supposed to be done in October 2020. Right here. June 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Current August 2021. So even the update, June 2021. You're still late on the updated.
Yep.
When it's supposed to be expected. Now, I'll say this right now. Apparently, this has been printed and they are being shipped out. I actually funded this one because I wanted to read it. Why? It's done by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan.
I kind of wanted it, but I don't know. I think I suffered some sort of paralysis on making a selection because there were so damn many covers to choose from. And then finally there was like a Kyle Ritter cover or whatever that showed up, and I was like, oh man, that one maybe I would actually go ahead and take that one over the others. And funnily enough, it turned out that it's a good thing I didn't grab that one while it was briefly available, because it didn't stay available. It went away pretty quickly. And it's actually a good thing I didn't get it, because I believe that it actually said in the description something about how it was not the actual story. It was some kind of behind-the-scenes sort of book or whatever. It's like, wait a minute, why the fuck isn't this a cover option for just the regular book? Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, and again, I think I was also kind of, always have been kind of leery of backing anything by Zack, because I don't know. I guess I've never been fully confident that he would deliver, or at least that he would deliver on time or whatever. And I think, all things considered, I'm glad that I never backed any of his projects, because I wouldn't want to be. I mean, there are things that I'm still waiting on, and it's been a long motherfucking time. But I have to admit, like, my opinion of the people, it's like I don't necessarily have anything against Zack, because I didn't back any of his books, and I didn't get fucked over or feel like I was fucked over by having to wait, an extra year or whatever for the fucking book. But the people that I have backed a long time ago, and I'm still fucking waiting on their shit. It's like, my opinion of those people has kind of been on a downward trajectory. Like, every fucking month that goes by, and I still don't have my fucking book. and sometimes there's still not any kind of update on when to maybe expect it. My opinion of those people and my willingness to ever consider backing them a second time goes down further and further and further. So, the fewer people that I, wind up with such a low opinion of, the better, for me. So, anyway. But I would have, I'm kind of interested in the story. Wanted to see what that was like, but, oh well.
Two great creators. And honestly, you would think this would make Sylvester Stallone look bad, but only 4,000 people funded this. How many people saw it? Probably nobody.
What the fuck does that even mean? How many people saw it? Probably nobody. You just highlighted the fact that over 4,000 people backed the fucker, and you're saying nobody saw it? So what are you saying? Those 4,355 people are nobodies? They're non-entities? Is that what you're claiming, including yourself apparently in that number? I mean, I'm sure plenty of people would agree. Certainly Ethan would agree that you're a non-entity. But but it's like, that's just... Sometimes you got to wonder, it's like, what are people thinking, or are they even thinking when they make statements like that? Over 4,000 people backed it. Who saw it? Probably nobody. What? Nobody's ever heard of this, except for the 4,000... Fucking idiot.
Nobody even knows this exists.
Except for the 4,355 people who backed it, and the God only knows how many people who didn't back it, but did think about it, like myself, which is not something that you can really account for. I mean, but there is a point in there. I mean, not that he's going to make it, I guess, but the point is that Sylvester Stallone should have promoted the fuck out of this thing so that everybody fucking knew about it, and then it probably would have made $1 million. It probably would have made multiple millions of dollars. But we'll never know because he didn't do that.
And then you have Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. Chuck Dixon works with everybody, so I'm not really going to say anything about him. Graham Nolan gets his stuff out on time. He does the same thing with comic books. He puts up his campaigns onto Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I'm not quite sure which ones. And he gets his stuff out on time. Working with somebody as incompetent as Richard Myers is embarrassing. It just frankly is. And that's why I'm doing this video. So the other day I saw him do a video here. Richard C. Meyer starts off by saying he hates snitches and he hates tattletales.
Who doesn't?
Give me a break. First off, you are one of the biggest snitches I can think of. You go around suing people and then lose. So you're not even...
I assume he's talking about the, Mark Waid or whatever. Wasn't that the guy's name? Mark Waid. Lawsuit. He didn't lose. He did not lose the lawsuit. Like, it was still pending or whatever. He decided to settle it because, I would assume, because he's just tired of fucking with it. Which, I would be too. I mean, it's just, lawsuits are not something to ever engage in if you can help it. Like, no one should want to be involved in a lawsuit because they just take an inordinately long period of time to ever get anywhere. It's a massive time suck, and it's a massive fucking a waste of fucking money. The amount of money that gets fucking wasted on that bullshit. It's like, almost makes me glad that I don't have enough money to employ a lawyer to sue anybody for me, because I might be tempted to sue people at some point, and it's like, well, I can't afford it, so that ain't happening, is it? Like, I'll just have to settle any such matter that might have gone to court otherwise, if I had the funds, might have to get settled in some extrajudicial manner. I won't specify further. But yeah, it's like you don't want to be involved in any legal proceedings if you can fucking help it. And probably Zack didn't realize, exactly how long and how expensive doing such a thing was gonna be. I imagine that he thought, oh, this might take a year, or might take 2 years at most, or whatever, and get this settled one way or the other. And instead, it's drug on for how fucking long? Hadn't it been at least 3 years, maybe more than that, or something? And it's like, come on. At some fucking point, it's like, okay, let's, you just got to be like, okay, let's cut this fucking shit out. Let's end this crap. Wonder what that selection of recommended videos indicates about Captain Cummings.
A competent snitch. You go to the government, say, oh, this guy...
No. Suing somebody over, over them fucking you over, costing you, deals, business opportunities and whatnot, that's not being a snitch, you dipshit. Damn, this man is not very bright, is he?
Did something bad and then can't even prove it in court.
Didn't get the opportunity. It's been dragging on for fucking ever. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. What? I mean, are people really that fucking dumb that they think that it works like it does on TV, that everything goes to court really quickly, and you actually get a chance to really prove things or whatever? It's like, that's not really how most legal proceedings work. Most legal proceedings are an absolute shit show that just takes for fucking ever. Which is why, probably they should bring back dueling.
Maybe they should have gave you some crowns and you could have drawn a picture of it.
Which, would be... That would be nice, in a way, actually. I mean, Zack was in the military, right? So I'm sure that if it had been Pistols at Dawn with Mark Waid, it's like Mark Waid would have been wasted, and and that would be that, and everything would be settled. Think of how much fun that would be.
Good grief. Are you a...
Although more likely it's like he would have bent over backwards to get out of it and been like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'll make a public apology, I will beg that company that decided to drop you to get back with you, and I'll tell everyone what a wonderful person you are, just please don't kill me. if dueling was legal. So either way, would have been settled, wouldn't it?
Freaking moron. Second off, I'm not going to fat shame you. It's hard losing weight, but first...
Do we ever see Zack on camera? Do we know particularly that he's like massively overweight or something? What's going on there? I mean, I don't watch his videos for the most part, so I don't know. Does he talk about how, oh man, I'm 400 pounds now. It's horrible. Does he do that? Because I'm not aware of it if he does.
First off, stop eating McDonald's for breakfast.
It's not any of your fucking business what he eats. It's like if he wants to eat crap, then let him eat crap.
We hear you in your videos. That's what you do. Or at least 3 years ago when I used to listen to your videos, you ate McDonald's every day. Stop. You know what you do? You eat more fruits and vegetables. And when you've eaten...
No, actually, if you want to lose weight, you eat mostly meat. I mean, that's just the truth. But anyway.
Eaten a regular amount of food, you put your fork down and you stop. Don't freaking not eat food and do all this fasting stuff. That's how you lose muscle.
That's probably fairly sound advice. I mean, I don't know. Well, see, it depends. I mean, there's going to be some I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, if all you're doing is just kind of starving yourself or whatever, and you're not also like exercising at the same time, then yes, it's like you're going to lose muscle. Like your body will consume your muscle tissues first instead of accessing your fat stores. But if you physically exert yourself at the same time that you're cutting back on your calorie intake, then your body will be like, well, fuck, we would dispose of this muscle tissue, but we're fucking using it, so we can't do that. So then it'll start tapping into the fat stores and be like, okay, we're getting energy from this now because we got to.
Muscle is important, especially when you're an old man like yourself.
Especially? He's one of those people, is he? Pronounces things that way. Incorrectly. But, look, I know that Zach's not exactly a spring chicken, but is he actually an old man? Isn't he in his... Is he in his late 40s or something, maybe? Or early 50s, maybe? It's like, I don't think you quite call him an old man just yet.
You don't want to lose that muscle. That's all I have to say. Yeah. I am going to read The Expendables. And I'm going to review it. Why? Because I like Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. What I think is interesting is I've seen the cover. Let's find the update. Read more. He puts his name right on the title when we see right over here.
His kaname.
Story by Sylvester Stallone and Chuck Dixon. Art by Graham Nolan. Nothing to do with Richard C. Meyer. He's worse than Stan Lee. Taking credit for stuff he didn't do. The thing is, yeah. You should have your name, if you want it on there, as the publisher, not as the person that created something. Stallone.
That is a fair criticism, I think. It's like, his name probably does not belong right there in the middle where he's got it. I mean, you know, it's nice that Stallone's name's nice and big, but it's like, does Zach really need to have his name there as though he's, you know, part of the creative team? No, because he's not. It's like it just, you know, like, yeah, it's like his name should be, you know, someplace else. Anyway.
Did the story. Chuck Dixon adapted the story to comic book form. Graham Nolan drew the stuff. You were over a year late on publishing it. That's what you did. That's what you accomplished. You're a loser.
Well, I don't know about, you know. Well, it's not that I'm necessarily going to say that Zach isn't a loser, but I don't think that that's a conclusion that can be drawn by just what Captain Cummings was going over there. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's like he was talking about how, oh, this pathetic number of people backed this, and it's like 4,000, you know, whatever it was, and it's like, that's a hell of a lot more than back most indie comics. What are you talking about, dipshit? Whatever. All right, so let's look into some of the other goings-on in CG real quick. I say real quick. It's going to take a while, but still. Okay, it's not, Mr. Dongs, it's not a matter of taste to point out that a thread for discussing things going on within and around ComicsGate, that this is a thread, okay. Surprisingly, to some apparently, it seems readers don't go into the ComicsGate thread for a tedious argument about crypto concerning people not involved with ComicsGate, or their activities that are not germane to the topic of the thread. Comes across as one of those midnight gift versus testify streams. Is that dark gift maybe? I don't know. You mentioned, but somehow even less relevant with a bit of truncation, but on the bright side there is already a cryptocurrency lolcows thread. Tellingly, the thread died due to lack of sustained interest in discussing crypto. Well, it's a pretty boring subject, isn't it? But I'm sure the addition of Doug and Smiller and their latest pay piggy milking scheme would be a welcome addition as befits your personal interests. God, why am I so tired at 7 o'clock? Shit. Lack of sleep. That's the obvious answer. All right. By all means, have at it. All right. Then Comic Artist Pro Secrets, Fighting with SJW, Cyberpunk Blood Honey Box Closeout. I think I watched that or part of it. Yes, I did. Sketch was, man. Sketch was just being a real pain in the ass on that stream. Sketch Super Chat in the thumbnail, a warning of things to come. Sketch Therapy, $2. Bitch, you skipped my Super Chats. Yesterday, only 3 days. Yesterday, and this was, when was this posted? This was Monday, so it's the beginning of the week. We're at the end of the week now. Oh well, yeah. I had things to do, or I would have done this at least yesterday, if not earlier. Anyway, only 3 days after hosting a closeout stream for John Malin's Godlike campaign, Frog had a 10-hour closeout telethon for both his Cyberfrog Blood Honey box and Aaron Lopresti's Wraith of God crowdfunds. While mostly shilling as expected, there were a few developments of note that happened. You have that's just F off well read. Oh look, more Kiwi farm accounts running from your sellout site at Vincenzo Fontaine. F off well read. Lol, you guys from the farms are so obvious. Vincenzo Fontaine at F off well read. You are you angry because they are talking about you right now? F off well read. They sold out and shill books and simp. It's a hug box now. Pathetic. Well, as we'll see, I don't think it qualifies as a hug box. I don't think the internet qualifies as a hug box. It's like some people try to establish hug boxes on the internet, but it's like if you're not really, really careful about your gatekeeping people from coming into such places, then it usually turns into some kind of shit show. Just saying. As mentioned by others, I was brought up for reminding Frog about his almost collaboration with noted comics libtard Greg Rucka on Amazon Attacks 12 years ago, which set off well-read user on these fine farms for some reason. Going after his co-hosts for being anti-CG, going after this thread for being pro-CG, and some sort of sellout ComicsGate marketing machine. Weird. Yeah. I don't know what motivates well-read sometimes. Anyway, and then you have Ethan holding up apparently Nasser sent him a plushie. Nasser's upcoming Creepsters toy was shown off by a frog that seemed genuinely impressed by the production value on what was undoubtedly a shoestring budget. I think we should all pressure Nasser, and obviously it's like back the project and thus help it be affordable, but we should all pressure him to make it color. Because, as much as some people like black and white, most people prefer color, in their comics. And I think, the Creepsters thing, I saw the cover on the posted by Stu on the forums here someplace, and it looked pretty cool. And it definitely, to me, looks like, yeah, this is something that just needs to be in color. Like, there's some things that are going to do okay as black and white. This is going to lose something for sure, including losing probably some backers, potential backers, if it's black and white. It's like, it needs to be color. And so we all need to bitch at Nasser and be like, nope, dude, you need to make this color. Quit fucking around and do it in color. Thank you. In the face of declining sales for mainstream comics and no Substack deals coming their way, a new revolution in Comics has been launched with the announcement of Artists Elite Comics, a murderer's row of veteran comic artists like Frog's Mormon replacement on Green Lantern and final boss creator Tyler Kirkham, 30 Days of Night and Fell co-creator with Warren Ellis and thus co-cancelled Ben Templesmith, as well as frequent CG Overture recipient Brett Booth, along with several others, have rallied together under a crudely made logo. Some public domain music, oh dear, accompanied by Sun Tzu quotes, and even a few fence-sitter Perch Comics videos were retweeted by Templesmith for some edge. Rusty edge. And so, these brave cartoon artists have declared themselves the heirs to the great Image Comics rebellion of 1992, the cause of the comic book artist proletariat. The vague foundations of an online store have been registered at artistselitecomics.com, and a couple thousand Twitter subscribers have been bought for social media. Oh, man. John Malin, for one, registered his thoughts by offering this replacement logo. Yet this declaration did not sit well with the rest of Frog's panel. After all, wasn't ComicsGate supposed to be said Image Comics Revolution Reloaded, where the where the comic artists that do the bulk of the actual work creating comics come together as a band of brothers and free themselves from under the thumb of the publishers, editors, and writers? Observing, yeah, that point about writers will come up later as well. Observing ComicsGate has taught these professionals that they need to band together in an internet gang and start promoting themselves, but this all seems superfluous. If they wanted these goals, why did these 11 professional comic artists not just grab an oar and declare themselves ComicsGate? Why? Why? And then we have some of Sketch's tartary going on here. Pardon me. Sketch therapy. You read enemy chats when they don't pay. You gonna red me motherfucker. At Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Shelley Lepresti at Sketch Therapy. We all don't know all the history. We are all listening and get it. We don't all have the same enemies. I am sorry you are having a bad night. Sketch Therapy at Shelley Lepresti. Your lack of knowledge is not my problem. What I see you telling me that you give strangers power over your customer, this is a confession of your bad choices. I will give Sketch credit for not just like calling her a bitch and whatnot, because I would expect him to do that. So at least he was a little bit nice to Mrs. Lepresti there. As mentioned before, this livestream Shillathon was meant not just to sell Frog's campaign, but a closeout of Aaron Lepresti's campaign as well. Sketch Therapy has learned somehow about Lepresti being a former regular of Mike's show, and has naturally concluded the mild-mannered Christian Wraith of God creator to be a Rico Act Smiller infiltrator. Aaron's equally folksy wife, Shelley, presumably not knowing better, tried to talk Sketch down using reason and empathy. Sketch was shortly thereafter temp banned by Jannies due to a flood of, now regrettably erased, profanity directed at Aaron's wife. Ah, so he did lapse into that. Well, good grief. Sketch Therapy for $10. Fuck Mike and fuck any motherfucker who, like Marvel and DC, coddles creators that treat us like shit. Mike treated us like shit, and you are coddling him like Marvel coddles the enemy. I don't give a shit. Why fuck Mike? Sketch Therapy, $10. Bitch, fuck you. I don't care what Mike did to you or what you wanted for Mike. I care what he did to the customer. You know that little fucking detail you conveniently leave out of all your fucking Mike stories. Good heavens. It would be nice if he could at least spell the words. I mean, some of those things he's misspelling on purpose so that they get past YouTube censorship. But the things that don't need to be done that way, it'd be nice if he could at least spell those correctly. And utilize, some correct grammar, just a little bit, please. This setback in the face of traitor infiltration, far from deterring Sketch Therapy, merely motivated him to flood the stream with hundreds of dollars of super chats for the next several hours about how he will not be silenced. Voices of reason like Cecil urged for sanity by suggesting Sketch be brought on to explain his side of the argument. I myself may have suggested Sketch be given a wrench again so that the Jannies couldn't time him out. And Ethan pointed out, I believe, that every time he does that, Sketch abuses his power as a wrench, and therefore he was not prepared to give Sketch a wrench again, which I think is a wise move. I kind of think Sketch has been removed as a mod on most people's channels, although I think he's still a mod on Anna's channel, oddly enough. Is that? Maybe. There we go. Barb Rogers' Little Miss Sunburn for 10 fake Canadian dollars. Sketch the Rapey here is the pit bull running loose in the community, ripping babies from their mother's arms and ragdolling them to death as I watch from my window in the safety of my house. Interesting. Mike for 50 real bucks says, "Shut up, Sketch." Mike's obviously doing fairly well for himself, I guess, with all his NFTs and other bullshit. Sketch Therapy for $2. How much to defend myself from Rico Act Mike and Kick Vic Barb? DJ2K Comics, free sketch. Tragically, for some, the Blood Honey Box / Wraith of God slowly but inexorably began to change course as the audience showed themselves to be vastly more interested in fighting over Sketch than use the right word, damn it, listening to whatever Frog and the panel were talking about. Reload that, see if it'll play this time.
Phil Diaz, will you read Sketch Therapy's super chat, please, and then we'll talk some sense into Shane.
I don't care if Mark Wade, Miller, or Nasser fucks us, then he does good. I say fuck every creator that forgets the fucked us the fuck you do. I have to keep to paying to talk.
All right, so there you go. I mean, you think about it, like, excellent.
Thanks, Dogs.
Really captured the essence there.
It's my Latin blood.
Yeah, and thank you, Nasser, for sending. Nasser always sends.
In short, we may never know why luminaries like Tyler Kirkham and Ben Templesmith elected to build some sort of makeshift raft out of floating furniture, driftwood, and probably turds and shit bobbing around in the ocean rather than climb into the CG lifeboat. The world may never know. Oh well. All right. More of that crap. I can't remember if there's anything else on this page that's worth delving into. Some back and forth between Newman's Own and Captain Manning. It's another captain. It's not Captain Cummings, it's Captain Manning. Another Captain something ing. And Captain Manning here, it's like he spends like half his time proving himself to be an idiot and half his time proving himself to actually be reasonable. So as we'll see, it's I guess down to his personal biases. that's a problem for a lot of people. There we go from Stu. Hopefully this will be the thing that skyrockets Nasser out of the C list where he has been stuck at for so long and solidify his seat at the table. I told him months ago when he felt like giving up on up to press on. He has done more stuff at his age and has more things to show for his effort than God damn it, what is it with people on the fucking internet not being able to say than? It's always then. Although someplace recently I came across, oddly enough, the opposite problem. Like, it's almost always people are supposed to use than and they use then instead. But recently, I can't remember where, but I did actually see somebody that they should have used then and instead they used than. So I don't know. I've been reading shit on the fucking internet for more than a quarter of a century at this point, and it's amazing. I mean, countless times, probably it has to have been like hundreds of thousands at least, if not millions of times now that I've fucking seen somebody somewhere, like is always using the wrong word. Then and then. People can't figure it out. What's so fucking difficult about that, man? Did none of these people go to school? I mean, shit. All right. This business is a lot like fishing. How many times do you cast in the water before you land your big one? Trixie, Stardust, and Secret Comics Presents were all keepers, but this one, hopefully, will be the one to mount. And Soy Rage is just waiting to mount Nasser come this October 15th. Yeah. And I'm surprised that he's actually got toys for this. I really expect... I know that he said, like, some time ago that there was going to be, like, some kind of merchandise for it or something. It's like, I actually figured he was just, like, bullshitting. In all honesty, I thought Nasser was bullshitting when he said that. Because I didn't picture him ever doing that. I was like, no, he's, like, there's not going to be a toy. There's not going to be anything. Because he just wouldn't be willing to, to actually... shell out the money that it would probably take to get something like that done. But bigger than shit, apparently he's doing it, so awesome. That looks to be maybe, something kind of interesting and exciting to actually be going on this October, this month. It's currently October. It's just well, how long is that? Today's the 8th, so what is that? Less than a week away, or no, a week away, whatever. Anyway, where the fuck are we? Must learn that ComicsGate is shit, but I already know that. Blah blah blah. Here's the beginning of some retardery, sort of. From Captain Manning. To diversify, we can always talk books, says JDA. I am making a point to review all the ComicsGate books I enjoy. I don't know if I'll ever get around to that. It's a thought. I've certainly got a bunch of them. Most recently got Dan Frago's The Grave, talking books and creating. Although is that a CG book? Anyway. Talking books and creating buzz about the fun, great industry alternative is really the best thing we can all do to help ComicsGate grow. Could be, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there are other things. I don't know whether they'd be better or not. Let's help change the culture. That's a good idea. I made a separate channel specifically for reviews, so enjoy and subscribe. I think I'm subscribed to that, but I keep fucking forgetting that it's that he even has it. I don't know. Either I forgot to turn on notifications for it, or maybe he just doesn't post to it often enough, so I don't notice. So we have a quote of just that from JDA, and Captain Manning says, Why the fuck would most people here want that? Did you not pay attention to the discussion that just happened? Hell, did you ever pay attention to what most people on this thread have said since its very inception? Fuck off and go EFAP to some Liam video with Testacry, John. Or at least finally answer why you hate Vicky so much. Hashtag John must answer. Let's help change the culture. This right here is why people laugh at ComicsGate. You personify the cringe more than Ethan ever could. At least we got a correct usage of the word than. So, with regards to this is... there's a lot of problems with people being misunderstood online, it would seem. Ethan expressed his misunderstanding when Liam was doing his drama streams and shit, that he thought initially that Liam was doing the Jerry Springer thing, pretending to care about other people's problems in order to get clicks and whatnot, and thought that was kind of a reasonable way to go about trying to build, viewership. And of course that was a misunderstanding, because it turns out that no, Liam actually cared about these people and he cared about their problems and wanted to solve them, which was probably a mistake on his part to care in that way. But anyway, I've said before, I believe, that, there's an issue with Fox Day in that many people have heard bad things about him and believe him to be not simply a racist, but believe him specifically to be a white supremacist, which is always laughable when you consider that he's not white. But his problem, in my opinion, I think he's sort of aware of it, but he just doesn't care. His problem is that he expects his audience to be smart enough to understand what things he says should be taken literally or not. And if they're not smart enough, then he doesn't give a shit about them. Unfortunately, most people are not smart enough to understand the distinction, and therefore you wind up with a lot of people believing that he's some kind of horrible racist when he's not, because they take him literally when he says certain things. And I think JDA has a similar problem in that he does a lot of trolling and joking and whatnot, and he expects people to be able to tell when they should take him seriously and when they shouldn't. There's certain things that he, does seriously, believe in and want and whatnot, and then there are plenty of things where it's like, no, he's just having a laugh. And one of the problems is a lot of people take him seriously when they shouldn't, and believe that his jokes are him being serious, and well, that clearly indicates he's a racist or an asshole or whatever, when it's like, not really. It's like, pay some fucking attention, Jesus. But anyway, there seems to be, in my opinion, in my opinion here, there seems to be some misunderstanding here on the part of Captain Manning. Captain Manning seems to believe that JDA is stupid and doesn't understand the purpose of the Kiwi Farms or the Kiwi Farms ComicsGate thread. It's like he seems to have it in his head that we're here to laugh at CG. You're not laughing at CG. You're not behaving just like the rest of us, therefore you are in error. And that clearly the only explanation is you're a dumbass who doesn't understand what the point of being here is. And I think this is a misunderstanding on Captain Manning's part, because JDA is using this platform that he's allowed to sign up for free on or whatever to get whatever message he wants to get out there. And he has consistently done this. Anytime somebody will platform him, he will go on that fucking platform and he will do his best to communicate his message and sell his books and so on and so forth. And he doesn't give a shit what the purpose of the platform is or what other people use it for. It doesn't matter to him. And Captain Manning, I guess, is not quite able to understand that. And so, so he's, it's like I said, it's like, why the fuck would most people here want that? Did you not pay attention? It's like, that's what that is. That's him acting like everybody's here for the same reason that Captain Manning is here for. Captain Manning is here to laugh at CG. Everyone else is here to laugh at CG. And it's like, are they though? Quite a number of people that are posting to the fucking thread are part of CG in some capacity at this point. Anyway. Not to mention, there's plenty of people who either are CG or are somehow CG affiliated. I mean, I don't know that I'd call myself ComicsGate per se, but I'm certainly in the ComicsGate sphere, and I certainly back ComicsGate projects. And I do, from time to time, read the farms. So, anyway. And then we have Vickyverse saying, how does reviewing an 8-year... Okay, so it is not actually a CG book. It's Dan Fraga's book, but it's an older Dan Fraga's book. I don't know. Reviewing an 8-year-old webcomic slapped into a book by IDW grow ComicsGate. Well, I mean, the obvious answer there, I suppose, is that you're highlighting the creator, Dan Fraga, and pointing out that, hey, this guy's really good, and so consider backing his current or any future CG project that he has going, because it's, it'd be worth it. What would grow CG? If Fraga's book wasn't 9 months late. I hate to agree with Vicky on anything really at this point, but she definitely has a point there. It's like everybody being late, and as I already mentioned, it's like the bigger names, and Dan Fraga's a bigger name in CG, they seem to get a pass. They seem to get an automatic pass on being late on shit. And it's like, nobody really kind of says all that much about it. And I suppose probably if you say very much about it, you're probably shouted down by bigger voices. But, at some point, if CG plans long-term prosperity, if anybody really wants that, then people need to get more, the creators need to get on the fucking ball and quit doing this shit. The being... the better part of a year or more than a year late on shit. It's like, that's got to stop. Like, that, they really need to get a handle on that shit. Anyway. And there's Testify advertising for me. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Not sure that view attachment. Fuck Biden. Trump is my president. Okay. Not sure Ethan is going to doing himself any favors with a cap like this. Well, that depends, I suppose, doesn't it? It's like he's doing himself a lot of favors with people like me. It's like we like that kind of shit. Whilst he may not be putting this sort of stuff in his books, no, he's not. It's kind of hard to. I mean, Cyberfrog is it's set in an alternate timeline where Bill Clinton is still fucking president. So it's kind of hard to say fuck Biden and be pro-Trump or whatever in that world. It's really weird. I mean, I guess you could always put Donald Trump in there as having, as being, again, like the next president. It's like Bill Clinton failed to protect us from the wasps, and Donald Trump will protect us going forward. He will protect us bigly. Or whatever. It's like, could do that, but I don't think so. I don't think Ethan's going to do that because he apparently even though he is pro-Trump, he apparently considers being pro-Trump in your actual comics or whatever to be very cringy. So he doesn't approve of that, and he's apparently told people like Smiller and Tim Lim to knock that crap off, and he now takes credit for Tim Lim having apparently knocked that crap off. I can imagine his many enemies would be wanting to use this pick against him. I think that they've already done as much damage to him as they can in that regard. So I don't think it really matters anymore. Okay, here we have more from Captain Manning. Lest it seem like I'm being too hard on the Cosmic Warrior here, allow me to clarify a few things. 1, Jon has consistently been under the impression that this I think you meant this is a pro-CG thread. Is he? Is he actually under that impression? I'm pretty sure he's not. But whatever. It's not. No shit. If a thread is in Community Watch on Kiwi Farms, the implication is that that community is meant to be mocked. People like Jon are why it's mockable. Frog, to his credit, seems to understand this. Jon does not. I'm pretty sure he fucking understands, dude. He just doesn't give a shit. And that, apparently, is something that Captain Manning doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that Jon doesn't care. He doesn't fucking care what your purpose to being on here is. His purpose is to use whatever platform he can get on to put out his message. To wit, Community Watch, lolcows tend to thrive in communities with like-minded people who do not criticize their behavior. Now, wait a minute. There's no shortage of fucking criticism going on in CG. Like, that's arguably one of the problems with CG is that there's too much criticism and infighting and shit going on. I mean, damn. Take the hint, Jon. You're going to get criticized for your autism. I think maybe the farms would be well advised to drop their usage of autism because they keep on using it incorrectly. They might do well to adopt just the generic tism word from the EFAP guys. You know, and then just say, criticize for your tisms. It's like that, that might do better because they keep on, it's like everybody keeps on saying autism, and it's like you realize that the vast majority of people that are being called autistic or whatever, or behavior that's being referred to as autistic, that's not actually accurate, of course, but if you just called it tismy or whatever, it's like, people get what that means. I think they would quickly figure out what it means. Anyway, this isn't a hug box. No fucking shit. 2, Jon wants to grow ComicsGate. Is that supposed to be a bad thing? While that could be interpreted as a call for there to be more funny shit for us to laugh at, I'm pretty sure that's not what Jon means. I think you're right. I think he means to actually grow it, in a good way. Jon probably means something more in the vein of CG being less retarded. Yes. Naturally, that would be counterintuitive to this thread. It doesn't matter. What is it with people who think that their goals, are the goals that are valid, and everybody, interacting in the same space that they do must share their goals, or else, again, they're in error. It's like, no, dude. JDA has his own goals. And if they don't line up with yours, it's like, tough shit. That's the way it is. Not everybody has to be here for the same reason that you are. God, what is it with people? 3, Jon believes stupid tinfoil hat bullshit like Vicky being in league with Preston, a man who is suing her, or trying to. Does he? I don't recall hearing... I mean, he could have said something about it, but I don't recall hearing him say anything about that. I don't personally believe that she's in league with Preston currently. She certainly seemed to be kind of associating with him beforehand, and then when she seemed to patch things up between her and Ethan, Preston seemed to take that as some sort of betrayal. And then, of course, when she called him a pedophile, he decided to sue her, which is probably not going to be successful because she didn't accuse him of a crime. Not a crime to be a pedophile, even though it clearly seems like it would be. It should be seen. I mean, like I said, it seems to me to be obvious. It'd be pretty fucking obvious that you call somebody a pedo, and it's like, yeah, that's defamatory. It's like that's clearly meant to defame them, to to be an attack on their character. That seems very obvious, and yet apparently, as far as the law is concerned, it's not truly defamation unless you're accusing somebody of a crime. So if she'd called him a child molester, then he'd have real reason to sue her. But as it is, it's like it's probably going to get thrown out at some point. I don't know. 4. This thread has seen nearly fuck all for moderation as long as I can remember. So, you know what? To hell with it. I'm going to call John a stupid nigger faggot. Get back to Reddit, John, or whatever clubhouse the CG faithful call home these days. Take Testacry with you. You're cringe. Well, as you just said, there's no moderation, particularly, I guess, and therefore, I guess there's absolutely no requirement that he behave on the farms as you wish him to, so JDA can post whatever the fuck he wants. And if you don't like it, tough shit. And if JDA is still on Reddit, then he's probably trying to put out his message there, just like he does here, just like he does everywhere. He does not hesitate to go on platforms where, many people may consider him unwelcome. As long as he actually can get on there, he will, and he'll say what he wants to say until they kick him off. Large portions are boring and unwatchable of that 10-hour Ethan stream. But looks on the Lepresti's faces that are subjected to Gator degeneracy. Mike Miller escalating the conflict that his relationship with the Leprestis caused. Frog broadcasting sketches madness while trying to downplay it. Yeah, there was a lot of that. He even played the veteran card to try to humanize sketch. Beauty. And there's JDA saying that he loves that hat. I think it says exactly what I'm thinking. I agree. John is consistent on the impression that for the don't care. See? What did I say? I said he didn't care. I'm going to enjoy ComicsGate, be positive about it, and the best part is you can't police me having my fun any more than the mainstream comic industry can police my comic book content I create. That's the beauty of CG. If you missed the great news, Aaron Lepresti has signed on to do the cover of my next graphic novel, Overmind, which is going to be the most amazing science fiction graphic novel of all time, next to Valerian and Laureline. I'm not familiar with either of those right off the bat. I'm beyond excited to get this to all of you. Well, I look forward to checking it out, although I fucking hope that, apparently the reason why his current campaign doesn't offer digital is because he's already, I guess, offered the digital of it on Amazon, and therefore he's locked into the exclusive, digital only on Amazon contract part of it or whatever. I hope that this Overmind thing will be available on, Indiegogo or wherever digital, because I gotta say, it's like I'm not too big on the idea. Like, I mean, I will buy books on Kindle, especially if they're cheap. But I'm not real big on the idea of buying comic books on Kindle, because that means I'm locked into, something that supports, the Amazon reader, to view it on. And it's like I'd prefer to have just a PDF of it, because then I can put it on anything. Also, I've never liked the way that Kindle doesn't allow for smooth scrolling up and like you look at a web page or whatever, and then you just scroll up and down, on a tablet or something. It's real easy. Whereas, it's like it's a flip. It's a flip from one page to the next. on Kindle books or whatever. I've never liked that. For one thing, it's like the device usually wants to try to shut the screen off while I've zoned out halfway through reading the page, and because I wasn't slowly moving through it, it's like, it's been a long time since you changed pages, so we're gonna shut it off. It's like, fucker. Hi, ComicsGate. Let's testify. And there's the bullshit about the pizza joint and Ethan, I guess, or whatever. Yes, you brought up after the fact. Not the one bitching about people talking whatever they want, dipshit, to keep up. I can't remember. Have people referred to me as an A-logger? Like, they may have. Which I'm not, by the way. Don't fit the definition. Seems like somebody referred to me that way, though. Anyway, that's because I don't make fun of success. That would be disingenuous, butthurt, and retarded. Plenty of legitimately funny stuff about Frog to make fun of. Yeah, probably. Also, how dumb Tenaple is for dragging down mid-six figures, selling ones and zeros that cost him nothing. John is trolling the thread. He means less than 10% of what he says here, unless he's promoting himself. Yeah, that's probably about right. Which is 90% of what he does on this thread. Yeah. Like I said, it's like, that's what he does. That's what he does. If I were to complain about something on the thread, it would be all the ads, including the one for me. So there you go. Why did you side with retarded fuckstick testify against Vicky, Rice Man? Contribute something worth reading to the thread. At a rough guess, I'd say it's because Testify is funny and Vicky's not particularly. I mean, it's not entirely her fault, because women simply have not historically had any pressure put on them to learn to be funny. So women just tend not to be all that funny. I mean, some of them are, but most of them not really very funny. Whereas men, in order to entertain women, have had to learn to be funny. Whereas women, it's like, if they take their clothes off, most men are entertained by that alone. So it's like they don't really have to do any real effort. It's like, well, look at Razor Fist. It's like, anytime that he did one of his political streams or whatever for the presidential debates or something, and he was sitting there making all these, wisecracks that were like really, really funny. And anytime that his girlfriend or fiance or whatever she was, I don't even know if they're still together. I haven't seen or heard anything about her for a long time. But it's like, anytime she was there, she would say things that I assume were meant to be funny, but she clearly just didn't understand humor well enough to really make it funny. I mean, sometimes it was sort of funny, but I think unintentionally so, because it's like, jokes need to have little subtlety to them, and like, she would just come out and say something, very blunt about Pete Buttigieg or Buttigieg or however the fuck you pronounce his name, something about how he takes it up the ass or something like that. But it's like, it was just really blunt and not really particularly funny. I mean, it was kind of funny because you knew that she was trying to be funny and failing at it, and so it was funny in that regard. But it wasn't funny because of what she said. It was just kind of blunt and like, whoa, what the fuck? It's like, anyway. But it's like, that's a demonstration of how men are funny, women not so much most of the time. Excuse for the subject matter of individuals of interest, and no, I'm not talking about ComicsGate, person of interest. Perhaps John sees this and hence his supposed confusion. He's not confused. You people are confused, I think. Nobody here wants to police your shit, John. Bullshit, motherfucker. You've just been telling him that he's not acting the way that people are supposed to act on this thread, and therefore you want him to go back to Reddit or wherever. That's what you fucking said. You are clearly wanting to police his fucking shit. Fuck off. Nothing like an asshole who says one thing and then lies and says I didn't say that. It's like, fuck you. They want to laugh at it, and laugh they shall. Is it just me, or does that sound a little sad and desperate? What you need to understand is that Kiwi Farms isn't CG or the mainstream comic industry. It's going to laugh at the idiocy of both. It doesn't claim a side. What you need to understand is John and many other people don't give a good goddamn what Kiwi Farms is or isn't and what they're going to do or not. Doesn't matter. JDA is going to do what he's going to do regardless. What is so difficult to understand about that? And yet Captain Manning here doesn't seem to get it. In before, what the fuck? And before, I guess is what you're trying to say, claims Kiwi Farms is also in league with the SJWs and wants to crucify him for his conservative Christian values. What? I don't know what the fuck he's on about now. This doesn't make any sense. You're such a victim, John. No wonder you are butt buddies with Testacry now. Victim HD. Speaking of, how is your anus recovering after Vickyverse reamed it last month? I must have missed that. Can't imagine that her reaming was very effective. Once told me he felt I was one of the more reasonable people in Kiwi Farms. I'm like, thank you, I think. No, I don't think you should be thanking Ethan for saying that. You've made it clear that you believe that the purpose of this thread is to, make fun of CG, and, there seems to be like this general sense that some of the Kiwis, at least, believe that not only should they all be making fun of whatever they're, observing, but also that whoever they're observing and making fun of should definitely get butthurt over it. And if they're not getting butthurt over their, laughing at them, then they're doing it wrong, or they're not doing it good enough, or whatever, So if Ethan's telling Captain Manning that he's one of the more reasonable people on the farms, then surely that means that you have failed, sir. That you have failed in your duty to the farms. Oh, anyway. Shell blah blah blah. I don't know. You could have fooled me. I guess we missed that one. I missed it. Anyway, you could have fooled me. All the Kiwi Farms threads I follow frequent. I've never seen one where so many users stick up for shill, for make excuses for the subject matter or individuals of interest. And no, I'm not talking about other ComicsGate persons of interest. Oh, okay. Okay. So we did actually see that. I guess I don't know. I guess I didn't pay much attention to what the earlier part of it said. Anyway, it's split. There's pro-CG folk and a few anti-CG as well. However, there's also a lot of readers who just don't chime in and are looking and are folk to be won over for different books and projects, and I always keep these folk in mind first as their potential customers. Very good point. At this point, I know I have a rep for working hard and for being a fighter, and I am looking to use that toward the goal of growing ComicsGate. Good on you. I get that some folk will be autistically... There's that inappropriate use of the word, really. I don't know. I think, like, tismy makes more sense. So we'll be tismly mad about that. Just don't worry about it. I've dealt with War Campaign chimping out on me for years. A couple of people with some lame and pointless talking points don't bother me at this point. I don't wish them ill, but I hope they'll eventually settle down and come around and have fun and enjoy great comics with the rest of us. Sounds perfectly fair. Perhaps I see this hence his supposed confusion. No, John is just a fucking idiot. That's like somebody observing, President Trump and saying that he's a fucking idiot. It's like, if you actually think that, then you weren't paying any fucking attention. Same thing applies pretty much with JDA. It's like, if you think he's an idiot, you're not paying attention. I stick up for Tim Lim, or rather Common America. Newman's Own just got done sticking up for Doug TenNapel. Interestingly, neither of those people are technically in CG. They're persona non grata in Ethan's court, as far as I know. There's other examples, I'm sure. Stupendous has a thing going on with Nasser. Well, no shit. Yes, he has a thing. Oh, it's a euphemism, if ever I heard one. Who is in CG. But I think he'll learn that people here can and will poke fun at Nasser. What? You think he'll learn? Oh, you seriously don't think that he knows that already? Jesus. Captain Manning is an idiot. At least part of the time he's an idiot. Jeez. And I think he'll adapt just fine. I think he's already adapted just fine. Nasser himself has been quiet, so Stu likely hasn't seen it yet. Stu has his... does this indicate that Captain Manning thinks that until somebody starts posting on the farms, they're never reading the farms and don't know anything about it or about what goes on here? Is that what he thinks? Does that mean that if I sign up for the farms, he would expect me to know absolutely nothing, as if I'd never read the thread before? Oh my god. Stu has a sense of humor. Yes, he does, and I think he'll likely help Nasser develop his. I think he already has. And anyway, occasionally posters here will stick up for somebody who they feel is being unfairly maligned on one point or another. The best mockery is that which has some truth and thought injected into it. The best mockery is frankly, is when it's like all true. Not just like, oh, there's a little bit of truth in the bullshit that I'm telling you. And it's like, no. It's better if it's all true. I mean, but I mean, we've discussed this before. It's like the farms does have a tendency to put negative spin on just about everything for the lulz. But anyway, but ComicsGate as a collective whole, I don't think I'm out of line for suggesting that the vast majority of people here think it's retarded, just like any other gate. It's why it got a thread in the first place. When John says shit that suggests ComicsGate is going to save Western civilization, he deserves to be roundly mocked. Did he say that? I don't think he said that. And as far as saving Western civilization, it's like, I think it's probably already too late for that. I think the collapse is coming, and probably quite soon. And I was just thinking about this. It's like, I've been in several different chats on different streams of different channels that cover widely, some degree. There's different audiences. Let's just put it that way. There's substantially different audiences for a lot of these different channels, and I've kind of lurked in the chat, and I've seen that, man, whether it's something that's straight up talking politics or something that's about gaming, whether it's something that's caters to a heavily right-leaning audience, or something that caters actually to a left-leaning audience, or whatever, or a centrist audience. It's like, man, there are people everywhere discussing the essentially the imminent collapse of the United States. It's like, I think a lot of people now understand that, we're pretty close. Anyway, but yeah, it's like, it's probably too late to save Western civilization, at least from collapsing, but after the collapse, of course, it will need to be rebuilt. And whether you're gonna do that by going out and physically building something, or whether you're going to make better comic books, if there's still any market for that, it's like anything is helpful. This is part of the problem with the farms in general, and I guess people like Captain Manning in particular, perhaps, is that they wants to claim John is merely trolling. I'm just going to leave this classic meme here for both of them to ponder. What he actually has said, not your straw man interpretation of it, but what he's actually said about CG and wanting to make, good comics and whatnot. It's like, I think he means that for real. But anyway, part of the problem here, like I said, with people like this is that they sit around on their ass laughing at people who are actually doing something positive and talking about how stupid the people doing something positive are. It's haha, look at those retards over there who are doing something positive. It's like they think they're the cool kids, and it's like, no, you're not the cool kids. The cool kids are the ones, sitting at the big table, very active, talking about all the cool shit that they have done and that they're gonna do, and so on and so forth, and they're actually accomplishing things. You're one of the, frankly, losers to a certain extent, who's sitting at, off in the corner laughing at the people who are dumb enough to, actually do something with themselves that might actually help others, that might help all of us. And you think you're the cool kids. It's like, you're not. But anyway, the purpose of this is not actually to shit on the farms, believe it or not. It's, but it's like, I tried to point this out. It's like, I'm not shitting on people. I'm not trolling people. It's like, I don't do that. I'm not, my point is to observe what I see and to offer my opinion on things, and you can take that or leave that. Anyway. Legit question, why did the artist who drew Flying Sparks for you not want to work with you anymore? Wasn't he bought off by the SJWs probably? Captain Manning saying, probable answer, John is a nigger faggot. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. I have a better, entirely legit question, I'm sure. Why do you hate Vicky, John? Well, we've already been over that. She's hateable because she's not funny, particularly, and therefore she's less likable just by that, and she hangs around with some of the absolute scum of the fucking internet, which is saying something. And she's just generally kind of a bitch. I mean, she commented on one of my videos, and, I said, you care to explain, and she didn't. She just wanted to do more vague bitching. And it's like, okay, goodbye. We're done. We're fucking done. I'm not going to put up with that. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and mention this for anybody who's bothered to stick around and listen to this point. I'll go ahead and say that I think it's now essentially my official policy on the channel is going to be like somebody, can't remember which video it was or what they were referencing, but somebody just posted, and I think it was a long EFAP or something, or it was a long video of some type, and somebody just said, this has been debunked. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, no specifics offered, none at all, just, this has all been debunked. And it's like, okay, that's a bullshit leftist thing to say. That's something that the Young Turks say when they don't have an argument of any kind to make. They just say, this has all been debunked, and leave it at that, as though that means anything. So I deleted that comment, and that, I think, is going to be my policy going forward. Anybody who says something so stupid as to, like, this has been debunked, and you give absolutely no context for what the fuck you're talking about, that comment is immediately gone. Like, if I see it, I'm deleting it right away, because that's utterly pointless. You are a waste of fucking space. Now, if you want to actually explain what you're talking about, that's fine. Then maybe I will, even reply and we can talk about it. But, just a blanket, this has been debunked, fuck you. You're gone. Your fucking comment is yeeted immediately. That's bullshit. And furthermore, if you're going to be like Vicky decided to be, if you're going to make a very vague complaint about how I don't know anything or whatever, and then I ask you, do you just want to complain or do you want to actually tell me what you're talking about? And then you decline and you basically just make more vague complaints and accusations, then I'm probably going to do to you what I decided to do to Vicky, which is I banned her, or not banned, it's, what is it? I hid her from the channel. It's like, I gave her a chance. Like, I gave her a fucking chance to offer some kind of fucking specific criticism instead of just a generic one. Just a general, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, about what? It's like, explain. It's like, but nope, she wasn't interested in talking about it. She wasn't interested in a conversation. So I was like, okay, fuck you then. You're gone. Goodbye. And that I think is going to be the policy going forward, is just to say, nope, we're done. We're, just immediately fucking done. Anyway, like I said, but if anybody, if anybody wants to make like specific criticism or whatever, it's like, okay, you can do that. I don't mind. But you're just wasting everybody's time to post some dumbass comment like, you're stupid, or this makes you, this video makes you look dumb. It's like, okay, in what way? It's like, if you can't explain, if all you've got the willingness to do is just say something like that, then you're wasting my time, you're wasting everybody else's time, including your own, but yours is yours to waste, but everybody else's time is not yours to waste. So if you're not going to say something that actually has some real purpose behind it or whatever, that can be, I don't know, whatever the right words are, it's like I can't think of them right off the bat. But it's like, look, if it's like if you want to have a conversation about something, if you want to make an actual fucking argument, then you're welcome to do so. But if you're just going to say something stupid like, you're wrong, and leave it at that, then that's not an argument. Saying that I'm wrong, and not even specifying what the fuck I'm wrong about, that's not an argument, dude. So, anybody who wants to say that, it's like probably going to start deleting your comments from here on out, because that's just, I don't want that kind of crap cluttering up my comment section. This is stupid. Like I said, anybody who actually wants to, to say anything specific, that's fine. It's like I'm not saying, oh, I'm not going to allow any criticism. It's not, no, criticism is fine, but you got to be fucking specific. So no more of this, just you're wrong. Doesn't mean anything. You don't know as much as you think about Jon. I remember when the Preston cuck porn had just dropped, and the thread was in disarray, with everyone accusing others of being war campaign alts, anti-CG alts, and A-logging the hell out of each other, and Spider Derp / Jon just wanders into the middle of it and posts this. What cringe shit do I have to look at today while no one is actually coming out with good comic books? I've never laughed so hard at anything in this thread since. R.I.P. Spider Derp. You were the best of us, while secretly being the worst of us this whole time. I wouldn't call him the worst of you, especially not considering some of the people that hang out on here. Anyway, legit question is answered. Great question. I have no idea, as we've had a great working relationship for a lot of years and 19 issues worth of comics work done. I've fronted money for him when he needed a new car, given him bonuses when the campaigns did well, really did everything right. I've even paid him for pages he hasn't turned in prior to this, so I'm out money. Yeah, I think this artist was like in the Philippines or something that he was working with. See, this is one reason potentially to avoid outsourcing to foreign countries, or even possibly foreign states. I mean, I realize that to get the best deal, you might have to go a long way out into the world to find an artist or whatever. But at the same time, if you want to work with somebody and you don't want them just fucking ghosting you, it helps if they're within driving distance, because then you can just drive to their house and knock on their door and be like, well, you wouldn't return my fucking phone calls, so now I'm here to talk to you in person, you know. And, you know, just saying, it's a lot harder for them to avoid you if you can fucking walk right up to their fucking door and knock on it, than it is if, oh, well, they're, you know, on the other side of the planet and they can just, you know, not answer their phone or whatever. or not answer their email. He just stopped responding once he landed a consistent gig with Dynamite. Ah, dickhead Dynamite, eh? After his Marvel work around this summer. I spent 2 months every couple of weeks being like, hey, are the pages being done? Or, if you've got a bigger gig, I can wait, just need to know the timing. He'd always been responsive before and communicative, so it was out of character for him. This timing of the radio silence was about as Deus Vault was getting a lot of positive attention from CG and outside, so I can only guess that he was instructed to disassociate with me, or he was scared that associating would cause problems with his shot at mainstream comics he has going now. Back in December. It's amazing that at this point people are still, you know, so into working in the mainstream. Back in December, he told me he was committed to finishing Flying Sparks, and we almost got to the end of the storyline with only 2 more issues to go. His replacement, however, is an upgrade in my opinion, just having our first page done recently for a little exclusive preview. So, there we go. Looks good. I'd have to see more pages with his art with color before say which of the 2 is better. Alright. So John trolled once. Great. Does any of that suggest he's not really a true believer when it comes to CG? Better question, does any of that suggest he doesn't sound like a fucking retard these days? I don't think he sounds like a retard, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. And as far as true believer, it's like, you know, I mean, it's like, true believer, you mean it's like wanting CG to succeed and wanting there to be better comic book? What is so goddamn wrong with that, you dipshit? I mean, come on. Fuck. Don't underestimate him just because he's a worthless sack of shit. No estimation of John other than the fact that he's a worthless sack of shit. Well, opinions vary on that. Anyways, since John won't spill why he hates Vicky, I'm going to concoct my own theory. Tell me what you think. John is using his much vaunted connections to Catholic Church to funnel altar boys through a homosexual pedophile sex ring, who in turn provide John with underage girls they've acquired. Said girls are then given over to John Lamont to do God knows what. He's a middleman in a vast child sex slave conspiracy. Since Vicky is in opposition to PP and Lamont, John must spread defamatory accusations about Vicky in an effort to silence her. He working with Randall, because nobody fucking likes Randall anymore, and Randall's got to do something to keep busy these days, since there's only like 5 or so people left in Pangea. Do I have any proof of this? Well, I've got exactly as much proof of what I just said as John, Randall, and the Etsy's have, that Vicky is part of some gigantic gay-op with Preston that involves a federal lawsuit. So it's interesting that he mentions John spreading defamatory accusations about Vicky. I would caution everyone not to make defamatory statements about anyone. And again, keep in mind what a defamatory statement is. Calling somebody a pedo, not a defamatory statement. One would think so. Certainly it seems like the intention of that would be to defame someone, but technically, letter of the law, not defamatory because it's not illegal to be a pedophile. However, Captain Manning in this post has just accused Jon Del Arroz of child sex trafficking. That is a crime, and therefore this statement is defamatory. And if John so chose, he could sue Captain Manning for making this statement. I don't think he's going to, but he could, because it is defamation. Anyway, might not want to go around doing that, guys. Just saying. And then Strix points out when the thread was created, it was extremely sympatric. I assume that's supposed to be sympathetic to CG. Tended to see only its opponents as the retards. So anyway, and Smug Frieza, or however the hell you say that, says Strix is correct. All right, so that's that. And then I don't think there's a lot on this page. There's another post by Stu. Oh, for sure, dude. I was one of the people in 2018 that was on the Kick Nasser chat wagon. When I got to know him last year and found out the things we had in common that were not CG related, we became instant friends, and ever since then, it was my mission to have him accepted back in CG again. Ah, so Liam must surely hate Stu then, or at least he would if he knew that. Anyway, sure, he ran with the wrong crowd, and so did I. I made that mistake twice now, once with War Campaign and once with the Etsy Boys, and I am still paying for their sins and may never get the stink of those two groups off me for good. Some people may not like the shtick Nasser and I do, but the majority of his audience eats it up, plays along with it 100%. I think it's funny. And if it wasn't working, we would get no views. Kind of like the people I left are getting now. The numbers don't lie. So please, rag on Nasser till the cows come home. Maybe I can use some of it in a future bit. You never know. And then this person who apparently has taken the jab, claiming that just some guy is anti-vaxxer. I'll point out that being against the not coof vax, not exactly making you an anti-vaxxer per se. You know, it just doesn't. I mean, this thing's not really it's not really a vax. Like, vax in name only, or whatever you want to call it. It's like, Ethan was the active ingredient in their success. Talking about War Campaign. Also explains certain someone is just smart enough to figure that out, and blah 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 blah. Talking about Testify, I guess. And Smugpug, who's another, frankly, dipshit who's been claiming, bitching at me for daring to cover Liam and insisting that I'm disingenuous. I was like, well, no, I wasn't, and there's no way for you to know that. So it's amazing how many people decide to make such declaratory statements about your inner thoughts without having any way of knowing your inner thoughts. But, whatever. Then we got talk about Tug, and I don't really give a shit about him. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about here. Don't really care. More talk about Tug. Good morning, ComicsGate. Not taking the jab because your government tells you so is a sure sign of retardation. No, and fuck you. I did take it. Okay, well, hope you enjoy whatever side effects you get off of it. If you're fortunate, none. But if you're not fortunate, myocarditis and, you know, possibly death as a side effect. Enjoy, you know. Versity is just Preston trying to shop himself to the SJWs. I don't know about that. Don't really care. I don't know. I don't pay attention to Preston anymore, really. I think he's got I think isn't it it's the John Lamont dude. It's like they were gonna do that weird CGI thing that looked very, sketchy. They are now promoting another thing by the Lamont guy. It's regular, comic artwork rather than CGI shit, and it does not appear to be lowly related. Still gonna give it a miss though, considering the association there. It's like, no thanks. It's like, not interested. Ugh, jeez. And more crap about Tug. I don't care. I don't care about Tug, one way or the other. Apparently, like, some people really like him, and some people think he's complete shitbird or whatever. I don't care. Don't know anything about him. I mean, it's like I know some about him. I guess it's like I know he did some kind of comic that involved self-inserts of him and his daughter or whatever, and it's like, okay, whatever. I didn't back those. Don't care. Edwin said, barring a ComicsGate miracle, Lim and Pellegrini have more backers than any CG book in 2021. This is probably directly attributable to making and shipping books on a regular basis instead of live streaming 25 plus a week. Is that 25 times a week or 25 hours plus a week? I don't know. Pardon me. Monday Night Morons, ComicsGate Queens will no doubt grow the pool of backers. Rupin replies, yet he only made half as much money because he sold his book at discount prices compared to the $25 CG books usually go for. Then he has to worry about paying for fulfillment, which takes away from his bottom line. So in short, he has to do double the work for half the money. And here is where Captain Manning shows that it's like he had anti-JDA bias, and so he was being kind of a dickhead about JDA. But he has pro-Tim Lim bias, and so he's actually being reasonable with regard to him. So we see here a demonstration of how biases massively affect some people's take on things. I don't think Tim Lim's production costs and fulfillment overhead is quite as large as some people here seem to think it is. Reason being that he switched from soft to hard covers with no corresponding increase in price. Yeah, that was surprising to me. To me, that suggests his margins were just fine before, probably, and he could justify narrowing them even further in the interests of product improvement. Tim doesn't strike me as an idiot with no sense of numbers. No, he's Asian, isn't he? So they're really good at math. Plus, after the campaign, you can buy all and it's like people who are predisposed to believe things that way are going to believe that my making that joke, which was purely a fucking joke, it's like I like Tim Lim and I back his shit, and they're going to think that I was either attacking him or just being racist against all Asians or some shit. But anyway. Plus, after the campaign, you can buy all of the books from Iconic Comics. That's that's a distribution source that we don't have numbers for. They are also the entity that handles fulfillment for the campaign. In any event, as a consumer, I prefer to be called a customer than a consumer, but anyway, I'm hardly going to sit here and be like, ha ha, you stupid faggot. You need to raise the prices of your books. Yeah, that'd be kind of a cell phone now, wouldn't it? And Rupin replies, my reasoning for that was because not only is he selling Volume 4 for $10 in the campaign, but is also selling a 240-page omnibus for a $25 price tag. He has got to be losing money out of that deal. But yes, as a consumer, I have no complaints at all and will take a 240-page book for $25 all day over a 48-page for the same price. And Captain Manning replies, no. See, the thing is, we don't have a profit and loss statement for Tim. We only have a rough idea of revenue. Rough because Iconic Comics is a private company that isn't publishing its balance sheet, and you can buy Common America from there. Those sales could and should be added into the total. They're not because we don't know what they are. Thus, we can only look to Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Moreover, there's no way different CG/indie comic campaigns incur the same expenses at the same rate. One campaign can have greater expenses than another. If he were losing money, this venture would have fallen flat on its ass a long time ago. What appears to be happening here is that he's got a deal in place that completely justifies his price point and still turns a profit. If you ask me, CG is overcharging for their books. I would agree with that, I think. Now, I firmly believe you can and should charge what the market will bear, but it's also worth noting that a higher price point might be necessitated by and indicative of smaller margins, i.e. expenses being higher. Yeah, I would say that, some people, I suppose, take your meds or don't. Does your head pat feel better? Okay. Anyway, I would say that, yes, CG is unfortunately overcharging. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe that all the CG campaigns that charge what they're charging is just raking in tons of profit and fucking their customers over. It's like it's like may seem like a conflicting idea, but it's not. That you can have, it's like I would consider overcharging because it's like the price point is just too high. It's like I think the high prices that CG campaigns charge are, I think it negatively impacts the number of backers that they're likely getting. As like I think if they could manage to charge less, instead of charging $25 for a book, and sometimes even when it's only like 24 pages or something, but also sometimes it's many times that, and they still charge $25. That's good, but still, like when it's potentially it's like a standard length or nearly standard length or whatever, and you're charging $25 plus $10 shipping, it's $35 out the door. It's like that's a lot of fucking money. It's really, when it comes right down to it, is it really worth it? It's like, increasingly I am choosing not to back things. Like I used to back a whole lot of campaigns, and increasingly I'm shying away from backing campaigns that are wanting that much money. Like like for campaigns that I'm really particularly interested in, I may wind up spending more than that on them. But but at the same time, I'm also like if there's not if either, like if they have only a physical and it's sufficiently interesting, plus it's not the standard CG pricing structure and it's a better pricing structure or whatever, like Tim Lim, like Tim Lim stuff, then it's like, yeah, I'm probably going to back something like that, or at least I'm more likely to. And then some of the other things, it's like if they've got a digital at a decent price or whatever, then I might go for that. But I'm trying to cut way back on my spending right now. Now, part of that is just my personal financial situation and whatnot, but nevertheless, it's like the like I said, it's like I think that all of CG, all the creators in CG, including, for that matter, Ethan. I mean, he's made his position clear, and I'm not suggesting that he needs to, that he needs, quote unquote, needs to lower his prices. But I do believe that it would probably benefit as far as the numbers. I guess it depends on what you want out of it. If you want to make fewer sales but more money on each sale, then CG is pursuing that model, and it's working out for some of them, especially for the bigger names, the former industry pros or whatever. But I think especially the smaller creators. I mean, the smaller creators' main problem is letting people know that their product even exists. It's like they really need marketing better, I guess. It's like, I don't know precisely what it's like, but they need something. They need to manage somehow to have better marketing. But but right now, like I said, it's like I really think that as far as the number of people willing to back increases, the lower the price goes, just on average. So I think that's true. Probably, I mean, again, like I said, it's dependent on you getting people to actually know the campaign exists. But the better deal you're offering them, the more likely people are to take you up on it. If they if you can get them to actually look at your campaign, it's like they're more likely to say yes to backing if the price is better. So, like I said, the 25 plus 10 pricing structure that most CG projects pursue, I think, is definitely overcharging. I think, frankly, it's really just not worth it. I know a lot of the artists are probably like, oh, I bust my ass, it is worth it or whatever, and it's like, well, some people are going to agree with you, but like and look, if that's all you want is just a small number of collectors are willing to pay more for shit, then go for it. It's like, then it seems to be working out for you. But but if anybody, it's like, I still think that there's potential success to go more the Tim Lim route, where it's like, yeah, you're offering higher quality, you're offering a high quality product, but at a lower price point, and it's like, you just, I think that is a recipe. May not be the only recipe, but I believe it is a recipe for success. And again, like I said, it's like some CG projects are probably charging what they're charging because, for whatever reason, they're not able to make it any cheaper. So again, there's no way to know which one's which, but the ones that they can't get the cost down enough to offer a better price, they're not just raking in the dough. They're scraping by, and they're not fucking their customers. But I'm sure there are some of them that, if they wanted to, they could offer a much better price than they are, and they're not, because they don't care about that. Which, again, which ones those are, I'll leave that to leave that to the backers themselves to make up their minds individually on, and decide whether or not, this particular campaign is worth them backing it or not. But anyway, that's just, that's my 2 cents worth or whatever. And anyway, we've been going for an awfully long time, I'm sure. Haven't kept track, but I'm sure very long. So, oh God, okay, yeah, hour 59. Oh, well, yeah, it's under 2 hours, if only just barely. It's, it's better than it could have been. It's better than it could have been. That's all I'll say. All right, until the next one.